to CUPP Mark Adebayo, who is in the studio and says he has new facts to analyze with us. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good morning, Mr. Mr. Mark Adebayo. Thanks indeed for joining us. Now, let's look at this issue of the London and Paris club refund. What's been happening? We heard new information that you did not, disclose, or that you have found out.
Thank God for this era of Freedom of Information Act that gives you the right to be able to access any documents that you need to verify certain facts. We must know that this matter has generated a lot of public interest, but there is a need to disaggregate the issues surrounding these London and Paris club refunds. First and foremost, were there over-deductions from states' allocation at the source? Yes, there were. Were there illegal deductions from local government accounts, from the federal account that belong to the local government? Yes, there were illegal deductions, because local governments do not have the legal instrument or the constitutional authority to take loans from abroad. So, when you are deducting from their allocation, it is illegal, it is unconstitutional, ultra vires. So, for the states that have finished paying their loans long time ago, the federal government continued to deduct these loans. And so that was what led to the intervention of Ned Nwoko Solicitors and Linus International that approached the states that, look, you don't need, when the state were about taking bailout from the federal government, which would amount to further indebtedness of their state, because so many of the states were becoming incapable and unable to meet their financial obligations. So that was why they approached the federal government for those bailouts. But because of his own professionalism in this matter, approached some of the state governors, starting with old Gongola state of Adamawa and Taraba, that look, you don't need bailouts, and you don't need to be suffering together, because the federal government is owing you money. How? That he explained to them they have finished paying your loans, and they continue to deduct, and you are now complaining that you don't have money, you can pay salaries, you can do infrastructure, you can do this. So he started with this Taraba and Adamawa, and was able to calculate how much had been deducted from their allocations. Upon which he approached the then President Olusegun Obasanjo, where he set up a committee, and they were able to come up with a figure that, oh, it's true, these states that have been over deductions. And there was an agreement, pre-agreement, that okay, because none of them knew that they had money to collect anywhere, amounting to, for the local government and the state, amounting to 13.1 billion US dollars. That's humongous. So now we are talking about close to 9 trillion naira. And that you take 20% of it as your consultancy fee. It was agreed, signed in writing it was after that that he now approached all other states. The other states showed interest and gave him authorization, and gave him power of attorney, signed by the then, that is 11 November 2014, that a class action should be taken on their behalf of all the states for the refund of these over deductions, which he graciously embarked upon. Now, were there refunds made, fully paid to the states and local governments? Yes. They have been fully paid 13.1 billion US dollars as a refund back to the 10 billion to the states, 3.1 to the local governments. Now, has the consultant, in this case, Ned Nwoko Solicitors and Linus International, been fully paid? No, that is the issue. On the strength of the documentary evidence that I have here. Now, permit me, please, to read that the then Governor Forum chairman, Honorable Abdulaziz Yari, wrote a letter to the Honorable Minister of Finance on the 5th of July 2017, in which he said, inter alia, let me just read one paragraph there. The attention of Nigeria Governors Forum has been drawn to the fact that even though local governments, their consultants have received their share of refunds from payment made to date, there is an unsettled residual commitment due to the local government consultants. That's from official letter of the Nigerian Governors Forum signed by Honorable Abdulaziz Yari. So we write to confirm, that is a letter of objection written. We write to confirm that we do not object to the direct payment of the balance of consultancy fees due to the local government consultants. So, then what happened thereafter is something that is unfathomable, that is now become a subject of controversy. When you have letters, and let me state this clearly, let me clarify on this, the issue of the payment of this Paris refund, consultancy and the rest of that, which 2 weeks ago when I appeared on your program, which I said that the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation was fixated on this particular money, 68 million. It is not even this 418 million US dollars has nothing to do with Nediwoko Solicitors and Linans International. Absolutely not. You know, I'll come to that later. But there are 3 categories of judgment debts that are required to be paid, which the president graciously approved that should be paid. Judgment debt that affect the federal government, judgment that affected the ministries, and the judgment debts that affected the MDGs. These are the 3 categories, amounting to about 3 billion US dollars. All these were the instructions directed at the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation for him to execute these judgment debts. So all of them have been taken, but those ones did not go public because it didn't generate any controversy. Having collected full payments of their refunds, it is only fair and just for the NGF and Algon to meet their obligations to the consultant that assisted them to even get the response in the first instance, which they never believed was in existence. You know, there are court judgments to that effect. There is presidential directive to that effect. There is even the NGF now hired a private security company to investigate the claims of Linus International, called Panic Alert. It went back with a report that actually Linus International and Nediwoko Solicitors should be paid what is due to them, as agreed in the documentary evidence that they entered into with the consultant. So, and let me state clearly that no other consultant was involved in the recovery of these refunds. None. All the other ones were, like Panic Alert, was hired by the NGF to investigate the work of Nediwoko. So, and he came back to say, look, you need to pay this guy. This guy did the job, and this and that. So, an independent report. EFCC has investigated this matter, you know, and they returned a report, and they gave a report back. So, to the, I think to the office of the Auditor General of the Federation, so office of the Solicitor General of the Federation, they did a report. This is a 81-page report that was done by the EFCC on this same issue, you know, and came back that there was a job done. There was an agreement that this is what is going to be paid.
That's from the EFCC.
From the EFCC. From the EFCC, because there was a report, there was a petition against Ned that led to his arrest then. And then after all the people all the dramatic personnel that were involved, including from the DMO, from the Ministry of Finance, from the Solicitor General Office, everywhere, everybody that was supposed to be part of this were investigated by the EFCC one by one. In this report, they mentioned their names and what they said under caution, and came back with the fact that Ned didn't have any case to answer. The question we should ask ourselves, that Nigerians should ask, is that having agreed through a written contractual consultancy agreement with a consultant that this is how much you are going to be paid, what happened after you have collected your own full payment that you refuse to now balance up on? He has been paid some money, 224 million US dollars, then the other one 1 billion US dollars, but this 68 million US dollars has not been balanced, or he has not been paid. Why are they withholding the money? And now, the error, what really happened was that, ordinarily, the agreement was that this consultancy will be deducted at source and paid directly to the consultant. But there was a mistake. Fire a letter written to the CBN by the then Minister of Finance, you know, who wrote to Honorable Minister Kemi Adebayo'S, who wrote to the Central Bank of Nigeria that the total sum, because these things were paid in tranches, And then he wrote to the central bank to pay also, you are also kindly requested to effect payment of the sum of 19,439,225,871 naira 11 kobo, representing legal charges to the account of the Nigerian Governors Forum. That was the error. You don't pay to the NGF, you pay to the consultant as agreed. So now that's where the problem came up. So otherwise there will not be this issue. If everybody had stayed with the former agreement that you deduct the consultant fees at source. So, and then the NGF has not come out to say that he didn't do any work for them. They have not said so. But the issue, the disagreement, the controversy surrounds the issue of paying his consultancy fee. Why are they withholding it? The public, there was this, passion, there was this emotion attached to the fact that, $418 million US. That has got nothing to do with Ned Iwoko's solicitors, as all these documents, these certified true copies of documents are proven. And that is what Nigerians should know. He's not after 418 million, it's not his own. It was the governor that went and hired Panic Alert to investigate his work, which was done. And maybe because Panic Alert is also in court because of the fact that the investigation he did on Linas, he was not paid for it. That is it. So these are the things. There are no 5 or 6 consultants with regard to the parade fund. Only one, Ned Iwoko. Only one. And he was the only one that has a letter of authority of attorney to undertake a class action on behalf of the 36 states of the federation, signed by individual governors and collectively, for him to take those actions, upon which they got their reforms. And now there's no payment to be made. And even this 68 million has been approved, has been given presidential approval to be paid, due to some also court judgments, court orders and rulings that it should be paid, upon which the president instructed the Honorable Attorney General Federation to embark on the payments of these judgment debts. So these are the issues that need to be disaggregated. It is now left for the NGF to show why, after collecting all the money belonging to them, the refunds fully, why they don't want to pay this guy.
So you're saying that the president's decision to stay action is still what's holding the payment, or because I want to understand, with these new facts that have emerged. Some would say that in the past or previous conversations on legal payment of fees, of course, remember the fees and payments that were made to lawyers over the Abacha loot, despite the president initially holding off. So one would say, can this not also be the conversation to have?
Actually, there's nothing esoteric about this thing. There's nothing. It's not so difficult at all. It's very straightforward. There was an agreement. That was a consultancy agreement. Do this, do that. The president, in his graciously, and the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, calling the attention of the president to the fact that there are some judgment debts. So the president, according to what I found out, gave instruction. Bring all the judgment debts, not just this consultancy one. Everything was brought, like I told you, 3 categories. The one judgment debts against the federal government, against the ministries, and against the MDGs. And he approved, amounting to over $3 billion US. That look, let's settle these things so that we don't have legal issues, disturbing government work. So those ones did not go public because there were no controversies about them. These ones began and as a result of the refusal or the reluctance of the governors to pay Ned. And you know that he was not the one that went to court to begin to raise issues about the payment of the consultant. It was the governors through the Attorney General of Abia State and 35 other Attorney Generals of the 36 states of the federation who went to court to challenge it, and they lost. They lost. And the CBN governor wrote to the office of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation that upon the strength of this judgment, he believes these consultants should be paid. So the president has done his job. Your question, the president has done his job. Honorable Attorney General of the Federation has done his job. The courts have done their job. It's now left for compliance by the debtor or party to this situation, to this controversy. So if the president, like you said, the president gave instruction, gave an order, gave a directive, but when people went to court, it is not, the president has done the job, but the court, the case, not this particular one, the 68 million naira and all these are not in court. So we are not running any subject this thing here. So the point here is that why asking the consultant been paid. Like I told you, the letter written by Honorable Mr. Kemi Adebayo'S to CBN to pay the second tranche of 18 billion to the governors, and also what should be accruable to the consultant, to the NGF, was what caused this problem. The money got to them and they haven't released to this man. That is the injustice.
So before this gets to to this point, there must have been some backroom conversations. There must have been engagement with the governors, because ab initio, it was the governors forum that also initiated these conversations on the consultancy, and we saw the back and forth whether they use it for elections or not, which arose in the media. But one would say, because Nigeria's foreign assets are attached to all of these things, it is very important to have these conversations and have this done. But what can be done with the deadlock between the governors and, of course, the consultant? Because whether you like it or not, this is a business engagement, and when two elephants fight, the ground suffers, but even the elephants do get scratches and scars in the middle of that fight.
You have raised a very, very crucial point in this this matter, the issue of the foreign assets of Nigeria. Because if the federal government, if the governors forum continues to frustrate the efforts to pay this man what is due to him, he might resort to that. If he were to be an unpatriotic Nigerian, he would have done that long ago. Remember, he was called to bar in London, so he still has his law firm there. He's an international lawyer. This type of thing he's doing for the state. He did for Morocco and Tunisia, I think. So, which he had experience in terms of this international loans recovery and the rest of that. That was why he came to. If it were to be another person, this is something that has taken almost over a decade. He would have done that long ago. But being a patriot, because that's what I get from. I still wish I could see him one-on-one and have a discussion, and then see the chairman of the governors forum and have a discussion to know really what are the issues. Why this? If you look at all these documents, you know that there is no controversy. There shouldn't be controversy. There shouldn't be. You have been paying. You said you want to stay execution on a judgment debt that has been fully executed. You have collected all the money. So what are you staying again? What is left for you to accept? You are talking about conversations, backroom conversations. I don't have the full facts. I am only speaking to the documentary evidence I have, but I have a feeling that there have been a lot of conversations and interventions even from independent individuals to get this resolved without going messy in the public like this. If the MDG's debt judgment, the judgment debts have been paid, if the ministries judgment debts have been paid, why one individual and his firm that did a wonderful job for you guys who are going broke, and somebody came to rescue you, you didn't know you had the money there, he came and sold the idea to you, you got him, you hired him. You will see the letters of each local government chairman of the 74 giving him power of attorney to embark on this thing for them to recover, and they got the money, and they acknowledge the fact that they got the money. You see in the letter written by Honorable Abdul Aziz Yari, he said that he wrote to the CBN. Yes, whereas the local governments have collected their full payment of 3.1 billion US dollars, they are yet to settle the consultancy fee, and he wrote to the CBN to take care of that. So then what happened? That was 2017. Now what happened yesterday? What happened? Why suddenly that this became an issue? Why do you now begin to lump up together contractors that went and dug boreholes for local governments from the money recovered? They are not lumping them up with a consultancy fee. That, like I said, and I stand to be contradicted, that there was only one consultant that worked for the refund. That's Barrister Ned Nwoko. And who would work and would not like to be paid? And why would they not pay him? What is the problem? As a matter of fact, I got to discover that even the money he charged before, there was a conversation, a kind of negotiation that maybe he could sort of reduce the charges for them. Some of the states, I saw one letter written by the then chairman of the governor forum, Junajan, saying that okay, that class action, that it should be taken at a cost that they would. There was a job done and delivered. Pay up. Simple. We don't need to go. So the blackmail around $418 million has nothing to do with this guy. Absolutely.
But in the names listed that makes up that amount, I'm seeing $142 million and still has the name of Ned Nwoko. So how much exactly is he being owed? Is it 68 separately, and out of that 418 still has some amounts owed to him, or is it just $68 million?
$68 million.
So out of the 418, he doesn't have any.
Remove the 68 million from the 418 million. All the other people listed on that, the issue of creditors, people that are supposed to be paid, didn't have anything to do with the refunds. Like Rio, for instance, did a job of borehole for each of the local governments. So, and then it was from that refund, in anticipation of that refund, that he was awarded that contract to dig boreholes, hang the tanks, and all these things for the local governments. He too was not paid. That's how. But when discussing the issue of refund, people are attaching $480 million only to one person. So the 68, let them just pay him what they are owing him. Let them pay what they are owing him. The local government, to the best of my knowledge, has not. The states, I think, like I told you, got 224 and then 1 billion. So if you are already paying, why do you stop paying? If the president has signed a promissory note that will take 10 whole years, they've spoiled the money for the man safe. 10 years to be repaid.
All right.
And then you don't want. You said they should stop the promissory note. On what basis?
We would have to stop there. We remember the payment of $17 million to lawyers, for writing letters during the Abacha loot, saga by the Attorney General of the Federation. People are questioning where this money is coming from, because currently Nigeria's debt profile is about 42 or 45 point.
By 2023, we hit over.